Hello boys and girls, ConZor, Lazzzy here. It's been a long time since I played Red Alert 3 and I thought I'm gonna jump back into the game and try it out, but it has been so long I forgot the most basic things, so this first part will be the tutorial. So we can understand where the hell we're supposed to do and how they're supposed to act.
Oi! Welcome to Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. I'm an Allied Guardian tank, and these prats and I are here to tell you about how we think you should be doing your job. Sir?
Yes, we have temporarily called a truce to make sure you do not send us to our deaths needlessly. To begin with, we will tell you how to move your viewpoint around the battlefield and how to command your units, including the best ones, such as me, the Soviet hammer tank. Just look at this body compared with the teeny little Japanese tank to my left.
Shut up!
Ow!
Please excuse him, sir. Let us begin.
Oh, blimey. Right, okay. To move your camera around the battlefield, just hold down the right mouse button and slide your mouse around.
Try moving your camera, now.
You may also move your cursor to the far edges of the screen.
Easy enough.
Come
Now,
on,
to
keep
rotate
going.
the camera, hold down the middle mouse button and move the mouse around.
Try rotating your camera now.
To zoom the camera in and out, simply slide your mouse wheel.
Try zooming your camera now.
As you go about fussing with the camera, sir, remember you can always click the middle mouse button to reset the viewing angle.
My goodness, Commander, you have completed your first objective.
Right proper you have. Objectives, as you might have surmised, are special goals you need to accomplish in order to progress through the campaigns.
In general, objectives will be labeled using special markers out on the battlefield. Follow the on-screen indicators to get to them.
If at any time you're not sure what the blazes you're supposed to be doing, hit the escape key to pay a visit to the mission menu. It'll list all your current objectives.
Good. Now that you have an idea for how to move around the battlefield, let's move on to controlling your units. Here come some of our hated enemies now.
Right, to select a unit, just left-click on it.
Try selecting one of these allied peacekeepers.
Nice. He's definitely one of ours, sir.
You may also hold down the left mouse button and drag your mouse. This will create a selection box. Any units inside the selection box will be selected. And if you want more units added to your selection, hold down the shift key and drag a selection box around those units. Okay, now that we've reminded you how to select units, you'll need to move them around the battlefield. Ow!
I was getting to that. To move your units, whilst having them selected, click the right mouse button on any open terrain.
Try moving your units to the designated area up ahead.
Confirmed. On point.
See? They obey you without question.
Notice, Commander, how the darkened area of the battlefield revealed itself as your forces drew near. This darkened area is the fog of war and represents parts of the battlefield that may be hiding enemy troop movements. Be careful when venturing into unseen areas and use your scouts to survey the terrain before committing your forces. Now, up ahead are some dummy targets that you are going to destroy. They resemble real-life Soviet conscripts, but I assure you they are merely robots we created for this exercise. See how foolishly they behave?
They seem so real. Observe that you can distinguish your forces from the robots based on the colored blips in the radar in the upper right corner of your battlefield control display. The color of the blips refers to the color of the different sides involved in a battle.
If you encounter different colored blips as you clear the fog of war, those are likely enemy forces, so be prepared.
Right. So, to issue an attack order to your units, whilst having them selected, put your cursor over a target and click the right mouse button.
Notice that as you move your mouse cursor over those dummies, it changes to an attack cursor.
Destroy all the target dummies in the area.
He's done. Peace out. Consider it done.
So long, you stupid robots.
Bloody robots! Now, in addition to issuing attack commands on specific targets, you can have your units move and attack any enemies along the way.
To issue an attack move command, while having your unit selected, just press the A key and right-click on any open terrain. You can issue attack move orders on the radar as well.
Now look there. We need you to lead us to that strategic point, yet many robots stand in the way. If you please, issue an attack move order to strategic point. You have the command. Lead us to victory!
Standing by. We'll settle this.
Hammer tank, ready to crush.
Consider it done.
Let's bring up the Soviet tank as well. My type of gameplay. Overwhelming force for the win.
Now that's a fine job you did there, Commander. You now know how to move around the battlefield, as well as how to make your forces shoot their enemies dead.
Indeed. We suggest you move on to the next lesson on building a military base for further instruction on properly commanding an army.
See you there.
Fireworks.
Good to have you, Commander. In this mission, we'll be reminding you all about constructing a base for each of the factions. We'll start with the Allies for obvious reasons. First things first, though. On the right side of the screen is the sidebar, which is where you manage all your base construction and unit production.
Here we have one of the hated Allied mobile construction vehicles. The MCV will unpack into a construction yard. To unpack it, select it, then click on its special ability button at the bottom right of your screen. Go on, don't be shy.
Observe the ghosted image of the construction yard attached to your cursor. Now left-click anywhere on open terrain to open your MCV to unpack at that location.
Very fancy, no?
Best remember to use the F hotkey as a shortcut to your unit's special abilities.
In general, special abilities are executed with the left mouse button, or cancelled with the right mouse button. However, the right mouse button is used for basic orders.
Bear in mind that there may be impassable areas of the map where you're not allowed to place down your structures. When you try to place a structure down over impassable or unbuildable terrain, red cells will appear on the build grid indicating that you're unable to place a structure there.
Now that your MCV has unpacked into a construction yard, you should have some new construction options available to you. To access your production structure's build queue, select the con yard, or click on the production tab that's flashing. Whoa, look at what we have here. Looks like you have access to build a power plant. Ow!
Don't overdo it. Commander, select the power plant button to begin building it. All allied structures build over time inside the construction yard. Once they're ready, you'll be able to place them on the battlefield right away. Your power plant is now ready to be placed. Simply left-click on its button and move your mouse over open terrain. Then left-click on an open spot on the terrain.
That's the way. As the name suggests, a power plant provides your base with power. All your structures, with the exception of your power plant and construction yard, use power. You can tell how much power you've got to spare by glancing at the power meter next to your radar. It's important to understand the consequences of a low power situation. While in low power, your units and structures will build at a reduced speed, and your base defenses won't work. So it's always good to have plenty of power as you build up.
The next thing you'll need to get base humming along is an ore refinery. This structure comes with a free prospector vehicle, which will collect ore from that nearby ore mine. To build your ore refinery, select the production tab and select the ore refinery button, just as you did with the power plant.
Bear in mind that a single ore refinery likely will not be enough to fund your military escapades. Try to build an ore refinery next to each ore mine near your base, but be careful to defend them.
Now that construction is complete, click the ore refinery button and consider where to place it on the battlefield. While you're able to place your refinery anywhere on open terrain, the optimal location is just in front of an ore mine. You'll see those spots ghosted on the terrain. As you move your cursor over those spots, your structure preview should snap to the optimal position. Then, just click to place your ore refinery and you're set.
Aye, properly executed.
When you place your ore refinery, you get a prospector as part of the deal, and he'll go about collecting ore for you automatically. Pro tip, friend. If by some freak accident one of your prospectors or ore collectors is destroyed, you can always build another from your ore refineries. Just select the ore refinery and you'll see it can build another resource vehicle as its special ability. As long as your ore refinery is close to a mine, you only need one vehicle gathering from it. So don't waste credits making more of those little tykes than you need.
I always wonder, though, how come the mightiest nations in the world need to collect ore while killing each other? I mean, what is even in that stuff? Ow!
Don't ask ridiculous questions. Ore is the primary resource in Red Alert 3. Refinery is automatically converted to credits, which is the currency used to purchase all units and structures. Ore mines have a finite amount of resources that will eventually slow to trickle. So, if you deplete an ore mine, it's best to try and expand to another in order to maintain a steady income.
You now have power and an economy set up. You're ready to start training units for the fight. From your production tab, go ahead and build a boot camp. Remember to place it down by selecting its icon, then left-clicking on open terrain. Incidentally, you can rotate the face of a structure you're about to plop down by holding down the left mouse button and moving the mouse around. Let go of the button when ready.
Now that you have a boot camp, you're able to train some infantry. To do this, you may select either your boot camp or the infantry tab under your radar. This will bring up the available units you're able to train. Let's train some so-called peacekeepers. Select the peacekeeper button to start training one. You may queue up multiple peacekeepers by continuing to select on his portrait.
Try holding the shift key to queue up 5 of those blokes at a time.
You can also halt the production of units or structures by right-clicking on a production button. Right-clicking a second time will cancel production and refund any credits that were spent. Left-clicking on a paused production process will resume production.
You can set a different rally point for them by selecting the structure and right-clicking some other place. All 3 factions produce units in the same way, from the respective tabs in the sidebar. By the by, many of your structures aren't restricted to being built on land. You can set them up on water as well. If you build another power plant, try placing it out in the drink. It doesn't cost you any extra, and most ground units won't be able to get to it that way.
Observe, however, that allied structures may only be built in the radius surrounding the construction yard. You may expand your build radius by creating command hubs, which convert from your prospectors. Please select your prospector and use its special ability to unpack it somewhere. Across the water, perhaps. Go ahead, Commander.
That's a great idea. Yes, sirree. Be there in a jiffy.
I forgot they are amphibious, yeah. That's true, that's true.
Looks like plenty of room for me. Right away.
Objective complete.
Yeah, that's it. Also, Bear in mind that the Allies' technology level is local to their construction yards or command hubs. That means not all your production structures on the battlefield may offer you the same construction options. You can upgrade your construction yard or your command hub by clicking the Heightened Clearance button with one of these structures selected. Try requesting heightened clearance on both your con yard and your command hub now.
What's the situation?
That's it.
Complete.
Now the other.
Construction options. Upgrade complete. Objective complete.
There it is. Heightened clearance costs you, and there's an even higher clearance level available after that. You need to decide when and where to request better tech when commanding the Allies. Else things may turn rotten.
Yes. Also, should you ever have need to run away like a little girl, you may pack up your con-yard, then unpack it on the water. The boot camp and armor facility are the only Allied structures you may not place on the water. Your seaport, on the other hand, is the only structure you may not build on land. Ow! What was that for?
Silence! Surely the commander wants to move on to the other factions by now. Feel free to continue dabbling with the Allies, then select me when you are ready to continue.
Need someone to take a look around?
Ready, sir. Where's the trouble?
This monstrosity is the Soviet construction yard. You will see that the Soviets build differently from the Allies. Select the construction yard or the production tab, then select the reactor button. Now place the reactor on open terrain as you did with the Allied structures. Do not wait for the reactor to build in the queue, for you would wait forever. Unlike the Allies, the Soviets carelessly build their structures out on the battlefield.
Notice how the structure is hastily being thrown together in the field. While it's building up, it's vulnerable to enemy attack. So be cautious when placing your structures. All Soviet structures build up in this way.
Just like the Allies, however, you can pause and cancel a structure's buildup by right-clicking on its button. And of course, your Soviet structures may be placed at sea, with the exceptions of the barracks and war factory.
Oi! Aren't you forgetting something?
Yet. At least, not anymore. Commander, one truly unique Soviet structure you should be aware of is the Crusher Crane. Try building one now from your production structures queue. Crusher cranes work much like construction yards, so now you can build two structures at once from your two separate build queues. What's more, your crane's repair drones will automatically repair nearby vehicles, or you can order these vehicles into its grinders to crush them for a quick refund. To access your newly added build queues, select the buttons added to the sidebar, or click the tabs in the sidebar to cycle between queues. You can build multiple production structures to gain more build queues, allowing you to build more stuff at once. Of course, you'll need plenty of income to support this. Now, please feel free to continue exploring the richness of the Soviet build system. When you're done, please select the tsunami tank to proceed.
Objective complete.
Ah, blew the shit up.
At last! Let us continue, Commander, for this will be worth it. The Empire of the Rising Sun has the most unique build system in that our structures are all created from special units called nanocores. Cores may unfurl at the location of your choosing, much like an MCV unpacks into a construction yard. However, unfurled Imperial structures cannot pack back up. Go into your production structures queue and build a generator core. The generator core will be yours to control as soon as it emerges from your construction yard. If you select it, you may give it move commands around the map like any unit. To unfurl it into an instant generator while having it selected, use its unfurled special ability much like you did with the MCV earlier in this lesson. You should now have a ghosted image of the instant generator attached to your cursor. Select a spot on open terrain to make your generator core unfurl at that location. All nanocore are amphibious, so they can cross land as well as water. This means the Empire of the Rising Sun can spread its borders far and wide. The Imperial Docks is the only structure that cannot unfurl on land, while the Mecha Bay and Instant Dojo cannot unfurl at sea. One last thing about Imperial production structures. They must be upgraded individually to unlock new construction options. You'll find these upgrades in their build queues. Now, Commander, do you see how superior our production capability is compared with that of my barbaric friends here?
I still think ours is better. Oh no. Ow! Ow!
Keep fussing with the Imperial build system if you want. And when you're all set, select me and we'll wrap up.
Building.
Refinery
Building.
core ready. Refinery core. Refinery core ready. Set core unpack. Refinery core.
Building.
I think I got the hang of it.
Core ready.
Well, that concludes the lesson on base building. Don't worry, the other ones will be shorter. Mostly. Let's shove off, lads. Commander, see you then.
Ow!
I'll collect the goods.
Why, hello again, Commander. In this lesson, you're going to get acquainted with your units and some of the abilities that make them unique. Every unit in Red Alert 3 has some sort of special ability, in addition to its primary ability. The majority of your unit's primary abilities is to attack their targets. A unit's special ability may put a nasty status effect on an enemy, switch to an alternate weapon, or even transform into an entirely different unit.
Let us go over how to use special abilities now. Select that allied cryocopter, if you please. The cryocopter's special ability is the Shrink Beam. With the cryocopter selected, left-click on its special ability button in the bottom right of your screen, or press the F key. Notice that the Shrink Beam is a targeted special ability, which means you have to left-click on a target to use it. Other types of special abilities take effect as soon as you press the ability button. Now then, use the Shrink Beam on my good friend the Soviet Hammer tank.
Wait, what? No way, not me again!
Size.
Melting! Look,
As stated earlier, not all special abilities need to be targeted like the cryocopter's Shrink Beam. Some abilities cause units to switch weapon modes. Blimey, that tank looks like he's lost control, and all you've got is an allied hydrofoil. Its primary weapon is an anti-air cannon that won't do you any good here. However, if you use its special ability, it'll switch from its gun to the weapon jammer. Select the hydrofoil now and ready the weapon jammer by left-clicking on its special ability button or hitting the F key. Proper. Now, have your hydrofoil fire on that Soviet apocalypse tank on the shore.
What's up? What you gonna do?
So much for that tea party. As you can see, the apocalypse tank can no longer fire. Not so scary now, is it?
Some of these
So
features
remember,
I didn't
the toughest enemy
give a
units
shit
may be
about when I
vulnerable to your
played,
lesser
as
units'
far as I remember.
special abilities.
Some
Learn
special
more
abilities I used,
and never
some
give up.
If you
completely
finish with your
ignored.
motivational speech,
Even
perhaps
though
we
it
can
might have been
continue.
easier to use the
Commander,
abilities.
Let's go over a unit whose special ability is to transform. One basic example is the MCV, though let us take a look at a more exciting case in one of the Empire of the Rising Sun's versatile Mecha Tengu units. The Mecha Tengu is an amphibious, hovering anti-infantry unit that can transform into the Jet Tengu, a flying air superiority fighter. Not only does the transform ability affect how it navigates the battlefield, it also means the unit changes from having anti-ground weapons to anti-air weapons. Select the Mecha Tengu and use its special ability. Impressive, no? Now, order your Jet Tengu to destroy that miserable cryocopter. Oh, and don't worry, it is merely a training robot carefully disguised to look like a real vehicle.
No robots are going to get past you, Commander. You should know there are some units at your disposal whose primary ability either isn't a weapon at all, or will change depending on what you set it to attack. For example, each faction has its own type of engineer unit, like this swarthy fellow over here. Engineers are special units that can capture any enemy structure or neutral tech structure. Much like with moving or attacking, you can select your engineer and right-click on a capturable structure. That'll make him go after it. Look, there seems to be an oil derrick you can capture out in the water. Oil derricks are neutral tech structures that provide additional income. Go get it.
Come on, engineer. Speed it up.
Off he goes. Note that engineers are amphibious, so they automatically switch to a keen aquatic form when they get to water. Not all units are amphibious, of course. Notice you can issue capture commands into the fog of war, assuming the structure is still there when you get to it.
Hey, where did that engineer go anyway? Ow!
He went into the structure, you fool, and there he shall remain forever. For that is the way of the engineer.
You may have noticed that when you highlighted that enemy structure with your engineer selected, your cursor changed to a garrison cursor. That garrison cursor indicates a structure you can enter. Your basic infantry can't garrison enemy structures or neutral tech structures like the engineer can, but they can garrison civilian structures such as hotels and houses.
Fear not, for civilians have long since abandoned such structures once they heard we were coming.
When infantry garrison these structures, they receive extra protection, as the building they're in will take damage instead of the units themselves, should they come under fire. Garrisoning your units into civilian structures is a good tactic, both from an offensive and a defensive perspective. It helps to secure locations, force enemies to take an alternate path, or give your units more cover near to your base should the enemy send a force to destroy you. Now garrison that nearby structure by issuing a move order onto it whilst having some peacekeepers selected. Good.
And there we go.
And here comes trouble. As you can see, those enemy training robots fired upon the structure rather than directly at your peacekeepers. Watch out though, because each faction has ways of clearing out garrison structures.
The Allies and Empire can try rushing their peacekeepers or Imperial warriors into a garrison structure, while the Soviet conscripts can use their Molotov cocktails.
Of course, you could just blow the structures up if you cannot be bothered by such details.
Now, let's say you need to get your peacekeepers out of the structure. Just select the structure and use the evacuate command, just like using a special ability on a unit. Do this now.
On alert. 10-4, sir. En route.
Some of your units can also be garrisoned by your infantry.
Right here.
The multi-gunner IFV is a unique allied vehicle whose weapon takes on the characteristics of whichever infantry unit hops inside. Order one of your peacekeepers into that IFV and watch what happens.
If I may, normally the IFV's weapon works best against aircraft. But once you garrisoned your peacekeeper into it, it changed into an anti-infantry weapon. While the IFV can only contain one infantry unit at a time, other vehicles can hold more and can transport your infantry around the battlefield. For example, the Riptide ACV is admittedly a good transport for getting infantry quickly and safely from one point to another, although infantry cannot fire out of it. Garrison your remaining infantry into the Riptide now. Now that they're garrisoned, let's move your Riptide across this lake and over to the shore on the other side. Look for the marker on the radar.
Heading ashore. Sounds all right.
Riptides are a special type of unit in that they're amphibious, meaning they can traverse both land and water. As my comrade said, not all units are amphibious, so it's good to make note of the ones that are. Some units behave differently on land and water. For instance, when your Riptide is on water, its torpedo tubes open to give it additional firepower. Now that you've made it to the other side, let's get those peacekeepers out. All transports have the not-so-special ability to evacuate their passengers. Use the evacuate ability now.
Took your sweet ass time to evacuate.
Headshot.
Finally, let us discuss contextual attacks. A contextual attack is what you get
Gone
when your
from
cursor changes to something
brunette
other than a normal
to
attack
blonde.
cursor. Select the allied commander who has showed up so very unexpectedly.
Copy that.
This Agent Tanya has different ways of attacking targets depending on the type of target. When you order her to attack enemy infantry, such as these lifelike robots, your cursor will be that of a normal attack cursor. However, when you highlight an enemy vehicle or structure, you get a demolition cursor. When ordered to demolish a target, Tanya will move very close to the target, set some charges, and blow it up. This is an example of a contextual attack.
Good.
Go ahead and dispose of those forces using the commando.
Other units, such as our allied spies like this one here, also have contextual attacks. Select the spy, then use his contextual attack on one of those enemy training dummies. Now who's the dummy, am I right? As you can see, the spy's primary ability is to disguise himself as the enemy. Alternatively, if you highlight an enemy structure, you can try to infiltrate it to disrupt the enemy's base.
Infiltration has different effects depending on which type of structure is infiltrated. Experiment with all the possibilities. Incidentally, the Empire of the Rising Sun Shinobi unit may also infiltrate structures. Only the tactless Soviets lack an infiltrator.
Oh! Why?
Come on, lads, we have to get through this. Commander, that's the end of this lesson. See you in the next one.
Well, I'm gonna cut it here to see the rest of the tutorial, the support powers, advanced tactics, and your co-commander. Check back in the next part. My name is ConZor, Lazzzy Gamer. Take care.